Big news coming out of the Vikings camp this week. We've got very high implications, and we'll get into that very shortly.
You have big news. I have terrible news. The Chargers injury bug seems to bite us each and every year, and it seems this year is no different. Come on, Coach Herbert. You're supposed to be the best of the best. Let's get these guys in ready playing shape. And if you're with us, thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of the BuiBros football podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Quinn Bowie, and I cheer for the LA Chargers. And across from me, my brother Brandon.
And I cheer for the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, big news, didn't I say?
Yeah.
Vikings owner Mark Wilf, part of the Wilf family ownership group, made it clear today that they are not talking extensions for the brass yet, i.e. GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah or head coach Kevin O'Connell. So they have relayed and reiterated they have high expectations for this season. They will not be talking extensions without understanding what is going on in our future and how these guys are leading our team this year as well. So it's big news. You know, the coaches are gonna. I'm assuming because this is their third season that maybe they were only hired on a 3-year contract, that this could potentially be the end of their tenure if things aren't going to go well. So the owners want to make sure that they are giving themselves options if it's not going how they want. They've always been an ownership group that is trying to put a team forward to get to the playoffs, like always fighting for a playoff spot. There's no tanking. They're not tolerating any sort of 2-win seasons, like that's not at all what this organization is about. And I believe that they're great owners for that. They want to put together a great team each and every year. They're not worried about having a high draft pick. So this is pretty big news. Playing on a 1-year contract or on the last year of your contract is tough for players, and it's got to be no different for coaches, right? It's got to be no different for GMs as well, because are you going to be making decisions that are based on you keeping your job next year? Or are you going to be making decisions that would help this team in 3 years or 4 years? Right. What are your main concerns here? And so I believe that they hired right in their last cycle, and that they've hired a GM here that would put the team's needs first, and he would just be hoping that would cement him in the position. Same with the coach. He came out today and was talking about how, because they asked him about this, hey, you heard him, and he said, yeah, I don't have time to think about that. We're in the season. There's no time or energy that I can waste thinking about my contract situation and what's going to happen after this season. All I can think about is this season. And it's a good coach answer. I'm sure that he thinks about it. Everybody wants to have a job next year, but it's kind of the attitude that he's bringing forward. That's probably how he's relaying it to his team, to the players, to his staff, everything like that. And it just kind of helps everybody stay locked in on the current season. So it's big news, but it's good.
Yeah, no, big news indeed. The NFL, it's unfortunate for a couple of reasons. Where the NFL is a win now, show me what you've done lately type league. And going into this pivotal season, you've got a rookie quarterback who has high potential, right? That's exciting. You have a former top 3 overall pick in Sam Darnold, so there's excitement there. You still have Justin Jefferson, yes. You've got solid running backs. You've got one of the highest paid left tackles in the league now, Christian Darrisaw.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of pieces. But this quarterback play, we saw what happened last year with all the injuries to the quarterback position and what that did to each of those teams. And some were able to stay afloat, but you never want to stay afloat. You want to be smash mouth football, beat it down their throat. Miami Dolphins week 3 against the Broncos last year. Awesome. Too bad they didn't go for the record. But that's going to be the reality of the Minnesota Vikings season this year is you're going to have to making decisions, hopefully for the future. for the foreseeable future, the near future.
Yeah.
But if it comes a time where it's just not winning, we're only human. We're gonna be making decisions that are hopefully gonna save our career. Now, on the opposite side of that, though, these guys are gonna be sad. They may not be GM again. They may not be head coach again, especially not in the first cycle of hires. But they're going to find a job in the NFL. They're going to be well off. They're going to be working on their craft and trying and vying for that next opportunity. They will be all right. Just an unfortunate situation for them.
More bigger news is that Jordan Anderson has been charged with 2 misdemeanors for his arrest for being asleep behind the wheel, possibly or definitely under the influence. I don't know if there's, I don't know exactly all the details, but it says if he's convicted, he excuse me, faces a suspension from the NFL, which is, known. Also says 6 months of jail time, which is pretty wild. But I think what I've read is that, he's going to get nothing. A lot of people have these misdemeanors and they'll get some community service, pay a fine, all kinds of stuff like that. And then you think famous, rich NFL players, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't one of those situations.
Yeah. But this is the max that he could get if they deem it worthy or him worthy. I'm not sure exactly what would get him those 6 months, but that's pretty scary. Hopefully that's a pretty big wake up call. Like, this is obviously not a good thing that he's done. So
he's had multiple chances here.
Multiple chances, if we're doing 3 strikes, it's 2 down and he's in his second year, right? Like,
on record.
And we shouldn't even do 3. So,
100%. I'd be curious. I'm sure the NFL is weighing all options with Jordan Addison as well as Rashee Rice, right? Like, different circumstances. But how are they gonna? They're gonna discipline these players because they are gonna have to make an example. They have players who are betting on other games, not NFL specific. Just using their hard-earned money to go and gamble a little bit, like every average person does. And I'm of the belief if it doesn't affect the NFL, your team, the other team, I think you're good to go. Yes, that opens the door for people to try and find the cracks and figure out how to exploit the rules. So the blanket refusal by the league saying no gambling. Well, I can also see the argument for that too. Hopefully Jordan Addison learns, and hopefully he's back at practice. He's got that visor now. He's the cool guy, right? He's the cool guy.
Yeah, he's wearing black. He looks good.
Driving cars.
Driving cool fast cars, sleeping in cars. Ooh, Anyways, I hope he picks it up. I hope he... That's a horrible thing to do. So, you're saying different circumstances with Rashee Rice, but it's like both extremely reckless in their own way, but both extremely reckless, endangering the lives of people on the street. And driving is already dangerous. So, anyways, I hope that he sees there's a fit punishment, and he goes and faces it as he should. So, next, so there's a couple things I saw about Kirk Cousins, and I know he's not on the Vikings anymore, but they pertain to the Vikings, where he said that Coach Kevin O'Connell said that if Cousins were to choose to stay, then we likely won't. He said, I don't see us choosing a quarterback if you stay. But if you leave, or if you're not committed yet, then we're going to have to. We just have to.
Isn't that counter to what Kirk was saying earlier in the year?
But that's what I watched Kirk say this. I know. That's what I thought too. I thought
he's politicking it.
It came out and said that Minnesota said they were going to do it, so that's why he went to the Falcons. But maybe that was just reported. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then because then the Falcons did that, so it was kind of a good topic. Like, hey, the Vikings said that they were going to do this. That's why he left, and then the Falcons did it. But I saw Kirk say this with his own mouth. So, he said that that the Vikings would not, or he said he wouldn't have held him to it, but that's what he was told, is that they would not draft a quarterback if he stayed. And then it says here, per report, that Kirk Cousins would have given more consideration to staying with the Minnesota Vikings had he known that the Falcons would draft a quarterback. Ooh. You know, they're at least it says their quarterback plans, right? Like, so, you know, I don't know. A little drama over there.
I get the whole competing thing, but Kirk Cousins, you just got $180 million over 4 years.
Yeah.
Let's ride it out. They want to sit somebody else out, take all that guaranteed money like you have in the past. And let's go on to the next spot, because you still have play left in you. And who knows, maybe Brock Purdy's not going to work out and Kyle Shanahan gets his QB.
Gets his guy after all these years. That'd be cool. I like Kirk, so, you know.
100%.
I want what's best for him, but I also want any other team to not do well. You know what I mean? So, also, it is reported as well that people that were at camp got to see in full force the Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson exchange. This was Saturday afternoon. They were apparently they were on fire, connecting constantly, just pass catch. So super fun to hear, especially because there was a lot of talks about maybe JJ McCarthy taking over. You know, he had some more ones reps. He's kind of been getting in the mix, but then Darnold had apparently his best practice that he's had as a Viking, which is just good. They only have so many practices, so you got to ball out at some point, right? So it's just good. It's exciting. And I hope that they show that in game too, right? Like that's all we can ask for. So I'm really hoping and really hopeful as well that they'll be able to pull it off. It's gonna be good.
Onward and upward.
Yeah. And then I looked through the depth charts. There's not really too much to look at. You know, one of the bigger news was that Andrew Booth Jr., rookie corner from last year, so he's in his second year now, has like not been playing with the ones or the twos, and is possibly cornerback 9 on the team, which is wild. Not because he's cornerback 9, but because he's cornerback 9 in our group. You know, we don't have so our starters per the depth chart are Shaq Griffin and Byron Murphy Jr., who are possibly
a person who doesn't have. Now, nothing against this, and it's a remarkable thing what he's done to come to the NFL. But you guys have a person who's playing with one full hand, who is overtaking a first-round pick.
So, AJ Green, Jacoby Francis, Jalen Williams, Dwight McLaughlin. Maybe you know Najee Thompson or Duke Shelley. Maybe you know those two guys. You don't even know those two guys. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I know 4 of those guys. I don't know the other 2. And Andrew Booth Jr. is possibly, our rookie from last year. I think he was a high, like a 3rd round pick, maybe 4th round. I don't know. But the fans wanted him at the time. We were supposedly, and again, I'm not the most college knowledgeable guy, but the fans liked the Andrew Booth pick last year. So we can't really be mad at Kwesi. He chose guys that we wanted too. So, but those are names that I listed out to you of guys and cornerbacks that are possibly above him on the depth chart. Looking at it
goes to your point earlier. Sorry to interrupt. About this is that season for the upper brass to really show that they know what they're doing. And if that's 2 years back to back with first round busts,
not first round.
Oh right. Oh sorry. He was second round.
Possibly second round. I gotta look that up.
No, I'm looking at it right now. Second round in the NFL draft in 2022. So top 2 rounds, still like high picks. These are valuable. And I remember hearing his name called, and that was a player that the Chargers fans wanted to hopefully drop into them in the second round. Maybe we dodged a bullet. Who knows?
Who knows, right? Some guys would just perform better on another team. It's kind of weird. Yeah, it's strange. I hope that he picks it up. I don't understand what's going on. This is just a report, the CB9 thing. When I look at it here, he's fifth listed, but it just says starters, and it has two names, and then because it's not like the chart, it's not an actual chart here on their website, and then it lists all the other guys, and he's third. His name comes up third on the backups list, but there's no order to it necessarily.
Right.
And so
he could be fifth. He could be ninth.
Yeah, like Fabian Moreau is here, and he's been with the team for like a couple days. You know,
Right.
So I don't know how they would judge him in respect to the other guys, but anyways, yeah, it's just not good news. But that's it for me. That's it. That's all the Vikings stuff we have.
Yeah, well, we're just a few days away from preseason action. Yes, we had the Hall of Fame game last week, or 3/4 of a Hall of Fame game last week, with it being stopped. That just shows the importance of the preseason. If you're willing to just, hey, we've been out for 30 minutes, a preseason game, bugger off. We'll catch you next time. But preseason action, that is the next chance that we get to see your Minnesota Vikings in action. And hopefully that secondary comes together. It's been an unfortunate offseason for that group. We're moving on to the Chargers. More terrible news. Sorry, not to build off your terrible news or anything like that. With the Chargers, holy moly, where do I begin? Well, we know where I begin, and that's quarterback Justin Herbert. When I saw the report last week about Justin Herbert hurting his plantar fascia, I'm like, what is a plantar fascia? So I quickly Googled, okay, this is kind of what the recovery timeline is. If you do this, blah, 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 blah. Adam Schefter comes out, really grim tone. Oh, they're expecting to put him in a boot for 2 weeks, and maybe he'll be ready for week 1 against the Raiders. But, these injuries, they linger. It can be very painful, blah, 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 blah. Just give me a break, Adam Schefter. We've had enough. I'm tired of these injuries. And starting with the quarterback in this first season, still have to trust in Harbaugh. We believe in Harbaugh. But without Justin Herbert, it makes it a lot more difficult, and we saw that in the joint practice with the LA Rams over the weekend. But before I get to that, the next piece, well, then not too much longer later, Daniel Popper of The Athletic reports that wide receiver, rookie sensation, high pick, Ladd McConkey, also came up limping after making a catch in drills. He didn't end up going to the joint practice there, and that's scary stuff. I'm not sure what the severity of this injury is, but my goodness, that's it, right? Quarterback and potentially wide receiver 1. Thank goodness it's over. Just kidding. It's not over. Well, our right tackles for the last couple of years, starting right tackle, Trey Pipkins, who had an off-season transformation last year. Hype. He's a right tackle. Give him another 3-year deal, team-friendly deal. So that's great. Harbaugh had a lot of trust in him. He was in the starting lineup in many different formations, mostly being used on that right side, but he was counted on, and that's a huge loss for this offensive line. Already having Rashawn Slater hurt, already having Trey Pipkins hurt. No matter if Rashawn's back and getting healthier, it's still scary to see. Coach Ben Herbert, as our strength and conditioning coach. I believe he has a more exquisite title than that, but he was the best in college, and so the Chargers had to shell out money not only for the head coach, but they had to shell out money for the DC and then a strength and conditioning coach, which is absolutely mind-boggling. But he's supposed to be the best, helps the team stay healthy. I hope they're just easing these players into the season, knowing that it's not important. Let's just cut them off now, and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Well, that is another starter that's gone, and there is one more starter who gets injured in those joint practices. It's edge rusher Joey Bosa. We've heard this story. We've heard this story time and time again. He came up with a possible left hand or wrist injury is what they're reporting. Supposed to be his comeback season. Who knows what it's going to be. Hopefully, again, they're just counting snaps, making sure he's eased into the season because they need him. They need him and Khalil Mack to actually play together. It's a great and crazy edge rushing duo, and they're not being given the opportunity because the football gods say the Chargers are cursed. This is a broken curse year. I said it earlier. I can't be wrong. In Harbaugh, we trust.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank goodness that those are the main injuries and nothing more. Just kidding. Not thank goodness. It's terrible in this point of the season to have lost so many key players. But onward and upward, I hope we can do something.
Camp injuries can be nothing too,
Yeah, it's not like he blew off his hand like JPP a few years ago.
Well, a lot of guys will get carted off, and it's like, oh my god, this guy got carted off. They carted him off because he had like a very small foot injury that they didn't want him to walk on. You know what I mean? It's just they are very cautious in camp because it's not worth it at all, especially for a Justin Herbert guy. He doesn't need to learn. Well, I guess he does need to learn the offense and stuff still, but he can hand off the ball a million times, right? That's all the offense is. So it's, just kidding. But he's a veteran player. He understands the systems in place for NFL football teams. So it could be nothing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just plantar fascia. It didn't say plantar fasciitis or whatever. I don't know much about that kind of stuff, but you put the boot on so you can't bend your foot. I guess that helps. And then you just tie your cleat on extremely tight. You know what I mean? And he's always been a tough player, so he'll be back and he'll be playing injured if he can. You know what I mean? But that's what happens to every football team. Like, you could look at every team and it's like, oh shit, we got an injury here and here and here. The good thing is that Gus Edwards isn't hurt. J.K. Dobbins isn't hurt. They've been out for the season, I feel like, at this point, multiple times. Yeah. So that's good. And those guys are going to be carrying a lot of the offense. So I don't know.
Let's see what happens. I have high hopes. I believe. Yeah. I believe in the coach. Believe in the players to get the gears turning. Get ready for the season. Speaking of gears turning, though, you mentioned earlier about players sometimes just needing a new team, a new environment to go and thrive in. Well, that exactly happened with former cornerback from the Tennessee Titans and Christian Fulton. Now, former second round pick, 1 year prove-it deal. And this guy, he's picking passes over there in that joint practice. Matthew Stafford, albeit these are tipped drills, but these defensive guys are getting in position to make those plays. You get the ball up in the air, you be aggressive, you go after it. Derwin James called him a ball hawk. Love hearing that support from the leader of the team. I would even say over Justin Herbert, by the way Harbaugh talks about Derwin James. That's very exciting because cornerback has been a position for the last few years where we've been subpar. We can't stop the pass, and that's why the offenses roll. And now maybe we've got the DC in Jesse Minter. Maybe we've got the cornerback one that we've been looking for in Christian Fulton. That's exciting, albeit it's going to cost. If he's good, it's going to cost the team next year. But that's a good problem to have, right?
That's you got to pay. You gotta pay.
You gotta pay.
As long as it's not a J.C. Jackson scenario,
100%. Oh my goodness, preseason action. We play on Sunday.
We play Saturday.
Ooh, Saturday. So you're gonna see your team before we do. Hopefully JJ McCarthy gets something in there. We play the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, sorry. We actually play them Saturday as well. 5:05 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm gonna be watching for sure. I'm excited for football to be back. That means we're only 3 short weeks away from that. We're just under a month away from that NFL season.
I'm excited to watch either one of these quarterbacks. Last year, I don't think we played too many starters throughout the preseason, so we'll see if that continues. But they're gonna in his interview today he was like, I see you guys on Thursday. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday about who's gonna be playing because I need to talk to the players first. I'm not gonna have them find out through you guys. I need to go tell, you know what I mean? So he's gonna be doing that this week, kind of still evaluating, seeing what's the best course of action, and I'm excited to see either one of these guys play. It'll be super fun to watch them play, so I'm 100%. Really excited.
Football season is around the corner. Mm-hmm. So exciting.
Yeah.
And if you're still with us, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. If you like what you're listening to, make sure to like the video. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss one of these. Brandon and I love talking football each and every day, each and every week. Join the conversation in the comments. Let us know what's going on with the Minnesota Vikings, the LA Chargers. Make sure to hit that notification bell too. It really does help out the channel. Yes. All right, Brandon, set us off.
Okay, everybody. Skol Bolts.
Ooh, Skol Bolts.
Skol Bolts. Yeah, no, loved it. See you next week.